Welcome to The Launch, where we have chosen to be leaders of our lives, and collectively we have a desire to help people become the best you that you can possibly be.
And what you've done with your life thus far, is it giving you what you want? Is it giving you what you want? When you look toward the future, when you look at all that's going on out here, is there some place within yourself you say, hey, I know I need to be out there in that arena?
I am Keesha Barnett, your host today, and here I have my guys with me. I have Zavier Hall, I have Quin Gant, and I have James Walker. So today's show is called Finding the One. I'm sure you're probably thinking that knight in shining armor, riding in on the big strong horse coming to scoop you up. Or maybe you're thinking the 36, 24, 36 that can cook and clean. But nope, that's not what we're talking about today. We're talking about finding the one. So guys, finding the one, what does that mean to you? Let's start with you, Zavier.
Just like you said, finding the one always just means finding you first, because whatever you become is what you attract. And I think a lot of us miss that when we talk about trying to find the one. And what we want to find is we want to find something in somebody else that's so great, rather than looking introspective and finding out what's in us that's so great first. So we go out and we want somebody with a six-pack. As a dude, we'd have this barbershop conversation. You want this girl with a six-pack, right? But he got a gut. How that makes sense? It's not gonna happen, right? So find you first. I think that's what that means.
That's what I'm talking about. Quinn, what you think?
It's a great analogy. I like that. At the end of the day, as he said, it all starts from within and it goes out. If you get you right, then that always predetermines how the outside world views you. I mean, in the way that you view the outside world. So it all starts from within and it goes out. So finding yourself first is pretty much what I get out of that gist.
James, anything else you can add?
I think them guys pretty much summed it up as to what it means to finding yourself. It's within, and do your best and find out who you are and what you're trying to do, and let everything else happen.
Okay, well, so that seems so simple. It seems so easy. And it seems like that's a concept that everybody should have. But we know that's not the concept everyone should have. Everyone has. Mm-hmm. So how can somebody go about finding the one, finding themselves?
If you surround yourself with the right people a lot of times, if you're trying to do better, if you find yourself surrounded with these people that's doing better than you are, you should have some type of inner being in yourself to say, you know what, I want to try to maybe not mimic this person, but kind of do what this person is doing to make myself better. Because if you're not really accomplishing your goals in everyday life, I'm not going to say you lost, but there's things you probably could do to make yourself better.
Okay.
I think for me is how I had to do it was I had to go read a bunch of books. I had to, like you said, get around people who were doing better than myself so they could tell me what to do. I met this white guy, he was like 78 years old, and I went into this multi-level marketing business, and he came to me and told me to read this book, Rich Dad Poor Dad, at 19. Changed my life. And he was 78 and a white guy, and he didn't have any reason to help me, but he told me I could become a millionaire before I was 30. And I really believed that, and I started reading books and actually started going in that route. I fell off a little bit, but you have to go through that process and get around people who are doing better than you, who can implant some information in you.
Oh, that's great. As those gentlemen said, I think just on one other aspect, from a spiritual perspective, I feel that a lot of times God does place people around you to hold you accountable for certain things, behavioral issues, stuff like that. But like first and foremost, if you're not willing to acknowledge those things, acknowledge those people, acknowledge that information, and really take heed, because it still boils down to you making a decision within yourself to want to be better, to want to pursue things that are going to help you to be better, to want to read that book, to want to do the things before sitting down and allowing yourself to be corrected. So I mean, once you kind of get to that mind state of really wanting to improve, then you find that desire to do the things necessary to make sure that you continue to improve. And so,
okay, so we're talking about finding the one. Does that mean you have to be single? Should you be single? What's your thought on that?
I think, you can date if you want to date, but you have to understand that if you are going to date somebody else, that you have to be strong enough in yourself to not let them tell you who you are. Mm-hmm. And so you have to be, so if you're not strong enough to be able to know who you're trying to be, it's probably going to be pretty hard for you to date. So no, I said yeah, but no, scratch it. No. Find you first.
Yeah, I don't think. From my experiences,
Okay.
I think that if you are single, it helps you to put a lot more focus on yourself. Because when you're in a relationship, kind of like what he says, depending on what that other person is doing, if that other person is really not on the same page as you or whatever, you have a tendency of losing focus of really where you're trying to go and what you're trying to do. So if you are by yourself, it's just a little bit easier to be able to do whatever that is that you need to do.
Okay, I hear what you're saying, but that's not what society says. Society, we are driven by love and relationships, and that's what you see on TV all the time. So that seems like an easy concept, but that's not easy for everybody. So how can you tell somebody to be focused and just totally focus on yourself?
Well, in all fairness, it's really not reality to find yourself without relationships. In order to even understand what works for you, you have to troubleshoot and go through some things. So it's only natural to long for companionship and those things, but going through those different failures are kind of what helps you to understand the changes and the transition that you might need to make within yourself. Now, a lot of times when you're in a relationship, the reason why they probably vote against it is because it's a lot easier to get kind of caught up into trying to accommodate somebody else and really losing sight of yourself, as opposed to giving yourself an opportunity to be secure enough in yourself to accommodate the relationship, so that when you do come into it, you're secure enough with yourself to really make it easy for the other individual, especially in the position of a man. I feel like first and foremost, you definitely have to be secure within yourself if you ever expect a woman to really be secure in a relationship that you're trying to present to her in the aspect of an atmosphere and a set of circumstances that's really conducive to y'all growing together. So that's how I see it.
That's what I was trying to say.
You got it. I'm gonna throw something out there. So, a lot of women are taught that, the end all is to be married. So, how do you tell those women now to think about yourself? Their mother, their grandmother, that's the thing. You find you a good man and you get married, and now you talking about find yourself.
Well, if I can say, if you get on an airplane, if you have a child with you, if a mom loves her primary care is her child for the most part. If you get on an airplane, the stewardess tells you what, if the plane is crashing, who do they tell you to take care of first? You. So then you can take care of your baby. Okay. So you don't give the baby the thing first and then you take it. It just don't make sense like that. So in the same aspect, if you're dating or trying to get married, you have to take care of you first in order to help anybody else. My cup runneth over is what it says. That's what it says. So you have to be able to overflow on somebody else. Mustard seed, everything talks about you running over so somebody else can come eat from your fruit.
Women have to kind of transition out of tradition in the aspect of, like you said, historically, your mother telling you, your grandmother telling you that you need to be married, baby, you need to find something, you need to really find your security in a man. Your security is with God and God alone. So at the end of the day, if you don't really have that right and God doesn't send that individual to you for you to really have that fulfillment with that relationship, then what grandmother says, mama says is really irrelevant, because it's not about what they say, it's about what God tells you. That's how I see it.
So guys, I want you to hold that thought. We got to take a quick break. We'll be back in just a minute. I got some more questions for these guys.
Can I have the attention of all those who are hearing me? In the words of the great Muhammad Ali, I want to challenge you to think differently. Be confident in yourself, dog, and start listening. Only surround yourself with people who love uplifting you spiritually. Change your mindset and get rid of all negativity. There's nothing to fear but fear itself. Fear is
So what's going on? We are back with the launch. I have Zavier Hall, Quin, Gant, and James Walker. So earlier we were talking about finding the one, and they gave me all these politically correct answers. And yes, all of that sounds good, but now we're finna get into the nit and the grit. Because like I said, it is not always easy to stay focused on yourself, because why? There are so many distractions. So we're gonna talk about distractions, because I know that you got some distractions in your life that are keeping you from finding the one, finding yourself, putting your own mask on first.
Absolutely.
Let's get in there. Let's talk about distractions. James, what's some typical distractions for a man?
A typical distraction for a man sometimes is the wrong woman. So, and what I mean by wrong, not that, I mean, a woman can come off, depending on her physical appearance, you know, you can kind of get involved in that, and that can become a distraction to you. Because you totally lose focus on what you're really trying to do, and then you end up trying to engage in her in the wrong way. So that could be a distraction. That's just kind of, you know, one I start out with.
Okay, so we can. It's safe to say that we have to have some self-control.
Right, self-control. That's kind of hard to do with a fine woman when you have a man. That's involved. Yeah.
Y'all heard that word?
Yeah.
That's kind of hard. It is.
Not kind of.
Yeah.
It can be
It's real.
Yeah, be challenged.
Right.
The challenge. It's the only challenge really
Yeah.
for a man in order to stay focused and do anything he's trying to accomplish in life is to be able to understand that yes, she's fine, but it ain't that deep. And that's the hardest thing for us to be able to do. And when she called at 2 o'clock in the morning and you working, do you stop working and go, or do you tell her I'm busy?
Who is calling at 2 o'clock in the morning?
Okay, 11. Let's say 5 p.m.
But those type of
anytime.
women, you come home at that time in the morning.
You,
I mean, everybody got 2 o'clock in the morning phone calls. That's not like,
You're right, because we are talking about distraction.
Right.
You're absolutely
They're
right.
distractions.
right.
Okay.
One thing I think personally, a lot of times, really being too in love with yourself can even be an even bigger distraction. You don't want to be so preoccupied, so busy, so focused that, like you said in our last session, we just seem so serious, everything's so serious, we're so cut. But at the end of the day, you have to kind of loosen up and allow yourself in some aspect to be distracted in some cases. But anytime that the distraction takes you from the agenda and really puts you in a position to where you start falling behind, you start getting complacent, and you just lose the goal being distracted. Those are, in my opinion, the things that you kind of want to really do away with, whether it be a female, whether it be your own ego, whether it be family members, whether it be your children, whatever it is, you know, you got to really try to find a healthy balance. Because I think in some cases distractions are good, but never to the extent of losing sight of the agenda.
What's a good distraction?
A good distraction would be in some cases how we may get together and have a conversation about total nonsense. Steph Curry's jumper. At the end of the day, we ain't gonna make a dime off of this man's accolades, but
Right.
in the aspect of just having healthy conversation, just to have something in common on a common basis that has nothing to do with the agenda, I think that's healthy conversation, a healthy distraction sometimes.
To piggyback on what he was talking about, the distractions for Steph Curry, we also talked about, we watched the highlights of Steph Curry. We didn't watch the whole game because it's a distraction.
Agreed.
Right? So focus on what you focusing on and not watching Steph Curry make $1 million when you're not focusing on when you making $1 million.
Absolutely.
Then you can go sit courtside. I want to see it courtside.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Yeah, TV cool, but you know,
In person
I
better.
want to shake his hand.
Agreed.
Okay, so what about the people that are in relationships now? Do they need to find themselves? Do they need to focus on that? They in a relationship, how do you do
Are
that?
you saying that because they're not focused on themselves? No, so if they're in a relationship and
They're in a relationship, can they focus on themselves? Should they be still
With the
thinking
right
about the one?
I think you should always be thinking about the one.
Okay.
And that doesn't take away from you being in a relationship, but you should always be thinking about the one.
I don't think I can be happy if they're not happy. If I'm in a relationship, so focusing on me since I want to be happy, I want her to be happy. So I'm gonna do everything I can to make her happy.
Agreed.
Okay, again, y'all giving all of these sound so easy answers, and I totally get it. I want to come from a standpoint of everybody don't think like that, and we already know that, right?
Right.
So we're talking about distractions. We're talking about these people that are in relationships, and there are a lot of unhappy people that are keeping other people. Why do you think they're so unhappy? Because in order to find the one, you got to be happy with yourself. So what keeps people unhappy in keeping them from finding themselves?
In a relationship, I agree that you should focus on self to an extent because you don't want to necessarily lose sight of yourself in the relationship, but you gotta die down. You have to, because it's bigger than you, especially like in a family setting, in a full-blown scenario where, especially as a man trying to be a provider, especially as a woman trying to be a nurturer, you gotta get out of the way. Not to say that you don't matter, because nobody wants to be in a situation with anybody where all of a sudden your feelings, your issues, your circumstances really are irrelevant and it's all about the big picture all day, every day. Because like I said, that's just not reality. At the end of the day, sometimes you're going to have your moments, you're going to need your space. All these things are prevalent in order for you to really have that fulfillment on that relationship. And it takes all of those different scenarios kind of put together in order for that to really work. But you got to come out of self somewhat when you have a partner, because at that point, y'all collectively got to become one. So now it's not just you being the one, it's y'all becoming the one. And so when you get in that mode, the reason why a lot of relationships suffer is because you got two individuals trying to be two individuals as one. And that's just never going to work. A house divided can't stand. So until y'all learn to really come together and start working on each other. She's supposed to be a helpmate, and you're supposed to fulfill her in the aspects of where she's weak. So if y'all are fulfilling each other's weaknesses and only building up each other's strength, I'm trying to see how you can fail.
Then you're one. Yeah.
Most
So
people
is
know
that-
something like that.
99% ain't.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
I know you want us to not be politically correct, but at some point we gotta be
Correct.
go that deep to
We gotta
correct the
correct.
nonsense that's going on and not understanding that what he just said, that a house divided cannot stand. You have to do what you do. You have to be great at what you are, and I have to be great at what I am, so we can collectively be great together.
Okay, but talking to multiple people, again, that sounds so easy. And I know I keep saying that because I think people, the average person, want the best for themselves. They want to be productive. They want a healthy relationship. They want to do good in life. They want to be successful. But it's some deep stuff that's going on with them, regardless if they get with somebody that by themselves, that's keeping them from that. That's the part that I'm talking about. Because it sounds easy to say, well, hey, get your stuff together. You focus on you. Don't date anybody else. Or if you're dating somebody, hey, you just think about you and you be happy. That's not easy for everybody. So how do they tackle them demons? How do they get to looking at self?
Could they read? I think they need to read. Read more about self-improvement.
Okay.
Don't depend on that person, regardless if it's the male, female in the relationship. You know where you're slacking at as an individual. Now it's up to you to really take that time to determine whether or not you want to do something about it. And a lot of times people don't. They just kind of settle for that. They'll settle and say, well, yeah, it's like that, but you know, whatever. I'm still gonna get up. I'm still gonna go to this 9 to 5. I'm still gonna go home and be routine instead of just saying, okay, well, let me see what I can do to try to improve myself. Let me see, maybe if I pick up a book and read a book on self-improvement, which is something that I would strongly suggest. But a lot of times people don't do that. A lot of times people try to run a church, and when they run a church, they'll and want to get saved. God, come down, save me, whatever. But it don't work like that. God is not gonna come down and save you like that. You're gonna have to, when they say have faith but you don't do no work, that just don't work like that. You have to ultimately do something. And a lot of times they don't want to do that. You have more people that's gonna run a church than read a book to try to help self-improve themselves.
God show up when you show up, like he was saying. So, yeah, like he said, we run the church, and then you'll go to church and they tell you only read your Bible. Not to say that that's not good, but the self-improvement books help me so much because it's a lot of God in people other than just the Bible. It's a ton of books out there that are really, really good that help me become the person I am to allow me to be able to do what I'm trying to do, right? Yeah. And so you have to read those self-improvement books to improve yourself, to know who you are in order to try to get where you're trying to go. So self-indulgent all the time.
They have to ask themselves, what are you doing every day? When you get up in the morning, what are you doing? Self-improve. To do better, to do that what you're talking about. What are you doing every day?
That's good. We got to take a quick break. We'll be back. This is The Launch, y'all.
Our enemy. Now first you must understand that your pure energy and the way that you feed yourself will predetermine your capabilities. What I'm trying to say is you can shine bright like the morning star. Never let anyone redefine you and tell you who you are. Don't let your dreams just be a want. You gotta make it your need. You gotta need it more than life itself.
Hey guys, we are back. We are The Launch, Zavier Hall, Quin, Gant, and James Walker. So we have been talking about the one, and they still have given me all these politically correct answers. So I have a really, really good question.
What you got?
So in society, they say that black women are too strong when they think about the one. Now we are focused on our careers. We don't, have to necessarily be married. I got my house, my car. I have a career, probably making more than most of the guys I know. And you telling me to focus on the one. But they say, we're too strong, what's up?
Wow. Wow, that's such a sensitive subject. There's nothing wrong with a strong woman, in my personal opinion. I personally admire strength. I think in order to survive in today's world, especially being a sister of color, if you will, you have to be strong. You don't have any choice. Society, unfortunately, has really taught people that black men are kind of less than, and we're weaker, we're not good fathers, we don't love our children, we abuse our women. This really bad stereotype that's really just false at the end of the day. A lot of black men, unfortunately, being locked up, double standard kind of society that we've been going on, executions by cops, all these different things. And at the end of the day, black women have kind of been forced into a position of really just having to think for yourself and having to fend for yourself. The Willie Lynch letter, I don't know if y'all ever read that. You should definitely go read it as a culture, in my personal opinion. But it kind of gives you somewhat of a blueprint on how things were orchestrated so that you would have to be strong. And you would have to basically teach your son to be more of a codependent and your daughter to be more of an independent thought process. So it's really kind of a setup, but we can no longer as a culture use that as an excuse. Okay. We have to climb out of that thought process and go ahead and really take that transition, but I don't think it's anything wrong with a strong black woman. Personally.
Yeah, most black women, they've taken on this concept because they watch so much TV. And they see all these basketball wives, they see all this stuff with all these successful black women with all the long weave, eyelashes and everything. They
don't take your earrings off, ladies. Just let's hear them out. Don't take them off.
They take all of that and they see this woman on TV because she's doing that, so they take on that role, and that's how they want to be in everyday life. They want to be like, well, I don't need this, I don't need him, you know what I need him for. And a lot of times I think they do it just to impress other women. I don't think it has nothing to do with, so much to do with men. A lot of women do things to impress other women, because how many men do you know that said they like your eyelashes? No, don't. A lot of men don't like them big, long eyelashes.
Ladies, hold on.
I'm just saying, how many men, any woman that's out there now, how many men came to you and say, man, your eyelashes are the bomb?
Okay, wait a minute. Hold on.
Let me finish. I'm just saying that's where a lot of that comes from. And they get all these good jobs. A lot of times they get into, they're like, well, I got a master's degree. You know how women like to throw out there that they got degrees and what college they come from? Yeah. Which is fine. That's fine. But a lot of stuff they do, they don't do it really. They done got caught up into this concept of for them, and that's why they feel like they don't need another man.
So you don't think that?
Period.
Okay, you went from eyelashes to a degree.
Yes.
Now, the eyelash part and what they see on TV, I personally think, even though you think we do that for other women, no, we do that because we think that's what men like.
Why would you think that? Because no man
Why
told
not?
you that.
You think Gabrielle Union is fine?
Yeah.
You think Sanaa Lathan is fine?
I don't see her eyelashes.
What about Beyonce? Because I think Beyonce is cute.
Yeah, but I'm just talking about it.
So do you see them in the raw on TV? Do you see them without the lashes, without the makeup, without all the glitz and glamour? Do you see that?
Well, that is what we like.
Right.
Let's just be honest. We do like the eyelash. I love your makeup. I love your eyelash.
Keep it proportional.
Oh, dang. I love how you look today.
Your eyelashes should not look like a little
I can't talk because he's still talking.
Oh, okay.
You look gorgeous today.
Thank you.
Right? But at the same time, they're going to see that and then they're going to do it, and that's not what he says that we compliment. What we really are looking for is more mindset than anything else, and what you're really trying to do with yourself rather than what you look like. Because what you look like, there's a lot of y'all who look the same, right? Everybody look the same. Everybody want to look like all the names that you just dropped, because that's what we see. So we all trying to do that. What I look for is somebody who's not trying to do that. I hope that you would not do that. I was always told if everybody else is doing it, you go do something else.
Okay, but that's not what TV shows.
Right, who watches TV? Average people.
We're not talking about average people. But how many groups do you see like this where men are actually saying, ladies, we want your eyelashes proportioned. We don't want you contoured to the guys. You don't see that.
So you want me to talk about the source. The source is single parenthood. The father's being locked up because of the Willie Lynch, and it is still slavery. So they being locked up, and now the moms are raising the kids, and now they're hyper, and women can't understand the little boys because they don't have the same concept. They don't even have the same brain. The kids are now too hyper, so they give them ADHD medicine, which is cocaine, and they get a $700 check for that. And so now, when the other father comes in, the single parent also doesn't let him have any say-so, because protect my son. Even though he's a man and he can help that little boy, we will tell him, don't listen to him, because she wants to have ultimate control. And then you have that problem, now he becomes a mama's boy.
It's okay to be a strong black woman. It's okay. For real, it is really okay to be a strong black woman. But what's the definition of a strong black woman? You can't be so strong that you think that you're going to take the role of a man.
What's a strong black woman?
This is good. This is good because this is the balance that we need to show.
Right.
Because that's the thing. There's no balance. You have a whole bunch of women that are doing it
Right.
First, we didn't have the opportunities. Now we have the opportunities. Then we get beat up on this side. Then we have our black men saying that we're too strong. So I'm just asking, where is the balance? How can we create a balance so that women don't feel bad about working hard, going to school, because I have a house, because I have a car? Where's the balance?
The purpose of the show, right, is the one, right? And then we're trying to figure out the one. You gotta balance yourself. It's not about your job, your career, your degrees, your children. It's about you balancing you. Once you get that right, then all of that other stuff will start lining up. You won't watch as much TV to give you confirmation on how you need to look. You won't be looking to other men to give you, or even your peer group as far as the females that you're hanging out with. You won't be looking to them for the advice on who you need to be and how you need to conduct
yourself. But that wasn't my question. Okay. I said if the woman is, society says that being a strong black woman.
That's my point. Stop looking to society to tell you what a strong black woman is. Look inside yourself. Talk to the God you serve. However that plays out. And at the end of the day, in that deity, find your balance.
But I'm saying a lot of women feel like they are balanced.
Well, if you look,
but a lot of people don't receive that.
What do you, as a woman, what do you perceive to be balanced?
I think mentally I'm pretty healthy. I have a regular job. I can support myself. I have a home, I have a car. I'm pretty happy. I work out. I like to go to the batting cage. I have friends. I have family.
Out of everything you said, you want to know what touched me the most?
What?
You're happy.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, it's not about what you got, what you've accomplished, or even where you're at. Said the meat shelling here. We look at their situation and we like, man, y'all live in the woods and y'all eating spiders just crazy. You know what I mean? Because we feel like we're civilized and we feel like our way, our TV generated world is how you should live. But then we look at these people over here with way less and they're totally content. They're not bogged down with all the things that we think are, valuable and important, cars, houses, all those things. They're just happy. So if you're not happy, then you're not balanced. So whatever it takes to make you personally happy, and whatever that is, for you as an individual, that's what I say.
So stop seeing with your eyes. Stop seeing with your eyes. I think is what you're trying to get us to say. Everything around us is we see the bills, like you were saying, the cars, the relationships, the nonsense that keeps us distracted from seeing what we really need to be seeing and looking into ourselves and letting our spirit lead us to what we're attracted to and trusting what we're attracted to, rather than trying to figure out what somebody else wants us to become and dressing like Sanaa Lathan and dressing like Michelle Obama and thinking like somebody else and deciding what you think and what you should put in the earth and what you need to accomplish and what you need to be.
That's good. I want y'all to hold this train of thought. I got some more coming. We got to take a quick break. We'll be back.
See, I say if you look at your life and if you're not getting what you want, you owe it to yourself to do something differently. If you want a job, 85% they say of Americans go to jobs.
Man, so this has been a great show. Talking about finding the one. Man, I love it because in order for you to find the one, sometimes you gotta go real deep. You gotta talk about some stuff that's uncomfortable, but it's reality. And that's what we did today. We can't talk about every topic in one show, but we got some shows coming for you, and I definitely want you to stay tuned. We are The Launch. We have chosen to be leaders in our life, and guess what we want to tell you? Gas. Give it all you got, all the time, starting now.
Now understand, I feel your pain here in our time of need. And we can't be afraid to change, y'all, cause that's guaranteed. Where in the world are we really safe if we only plant the seeds of children who love to hate based on race, lust, envy, and greed? False prophets with false doctrine are spreading like weeds. Building crippled Superman, shout out Christopher Reeves. No disrespect, not trying to offend, I'm just speaking the truth. What good is a future full of pollution and misguided youth?